What's going on, everybody? SeanPierceJohnson here, and welcome to this week's episode of Stompbox Saturday. Hope you guys are all doing well, and let's check out what we have on the stomping block today. It is the Rockstage Sonicbar from our friends at Sonicake. What's really cool with this series is that Sonicake has kind of taken the whole fly rig concept that we seem to be seeing a lot in pedals these days. Nice high-quality multi-effects with a very simple user interface, and they've come up with a few different genres that will suit many different types of players. They have the Twiggy Blues for your blues and jazz and fusion-y kind of guys, and then they have the Rockstage for those of us who like to riff and like to go wheedly-woo all the way up at the top of the fretboard. I just had to bust out the Ibanez for that one because it made me feel very arena rocky, if you will. So let's go ahead and throw the Rockstage up on the screen and take a look at what it is going to offer us. The Rockstage is made up of 4 different effects, which really I end up using on an almost regular basis when I gig. We have a chorus, which is sort of a CE2 style chorus with controls for speed and depth. We have the rock amp, which is our main distortion. Think hot-rodded Marshall in a box. Somewhere in the neighborhood of the MI Audio Crunchbox, JHS Angry Charlie, that kind of thing, with controls for volume, tone, and gain. Then we have a delay, which is an analog style delay with controls for blend, repeat, and time. Now, the instructions say it only goes up to 500 milliseconds, but I'm feeling like it might be a little bit longer than that. Either way, what I love about it is that it is analog voiced and it sits very nicely with the guitar. The final effect that it is made up of is a reverb, and we have just one control, a mix control. And it sits somewhere in like a medium hall kind of sound, if you ask me. That's my personal opinion. And those are the main components. We have one in and one out, so it's very plug and play simple. You don't need to read the instruction manual. You can pretty much buy this thing and go right from the beginning. You don't need to worry a whole lot about it. Bonus points is that it comes with its own power supply, so you're pretty much ready to go right off the bat. But there's one other cool thing that makes this more than just a gigging tool. It's also a recording tool. This little switch right here switches on and off an internal cab simulation, which I believe is a digital one. I don't know 100% if that's true, but it sounds a lot better than most of the other built-in cab sims to pedals like this that I've heard. So, very simple to use, very easy to conjure up different kind of sounds. So, what are we going to do today? Let's go ahead and take a listen to all 4 components individually and explore them just a little bit, and then we'll combine them and figure out what kind of sounds we can get out of it. Here's what the setup is going to be. We're going to go with the guitar, which I have the PGM with me at the moment, which I'm kind of enjoying, so maybe we'll stick with that for a little bit. That's going to go into the Sonicake Rockstage and then into a Carvin X1 preamp. That preamp then goes into the power amp of the orange Reverb 100, and this is all set clean. All the dirt we're gonna get is coming from the Rockstage. So let's go ahead and dive into the different components, starting with the reverb. So we have a set depth. We can't really control that. We can just control the blend. Personally, for me, I find I like it on the lower side of the knob, more counterclockwise than clockwise, because it does get pretty washy when you start stacking things up. Now let's go ahead and check out the delay. Now with all knobs at noon, let's see how we start. I like the way it's voiced. It's got a nice like analog style degradation. It gets a little bit darker, but it's not so dark. It's almost, I guess you could say it's almost tapey. Very cool. Let's check out the shorter end of the delay time. You can still do that kind of stuff, which is fun. Now let's move on and check out the Rock Amp, a very simple 3-knob distortion deal, which you don't need to know a whole lot about other than that it's kind of Marshall-y, hot rod British kind of deal, and it sounds pretty dang good. Now let's go ahead and check out this chorus with all knobs at noon. It sounds like this. It's not much motion at the really low range of the speed knob. It almost feels like it's not even moving. That is an arena rock chorus if I've ever heard one. Let's put on the reverb with that. That's kind of like the 80s chorus sound. And that's everything that makes up the Rockstage, and there's quite a bit that you can do with it. As long as you know what kind of sound you're going for, you're going to be A-okay. So now let's go ahead, pick up the Les Paul, and check this thing out, and I'll show you guys how I like to set everything when I go ahead and take this along with me for whatever it is that I might need to do. So this is the way that I like to set the Rockstage in the context of the music that I play with my band, Cockeyed Optimist. On the clean stuff, I always like to have some bit of chorus. It's a nice little bit of motion, helps give it a new dimension. But I always like a nice little bit of reverb to help with some general ambience and a little bit of echo to help flesh things out. I am the only guitar player in the band after all. However, one of the things I like with the Rockstage in this situation is that if I want to change over to my main rhythm sound, the rock amp and the chorus foot switches are right next to each other, meaning that conceivably with my foot, I could press down on both foot switches at the same time and bypass one effect and turn on the other, and vice versa, like so. Or because they're right next to each other, I could easily go boom, boom, 1-2 punch, there you go. I don't usually use the delay on my rhythm. That's usually for just leads. But for now, let's hear some clean tones. I like that. I like that a lot. Normally those kind of chorus sounds, I like slower choruses with more depth, but I find myself gravitating towards faster with less depth on the Rockstage. Now let's go ahead and listen to the rhythm tone that I like to use, which is just the rock amp and the reverb. So if I want to go for a lead, that's when I'll kick on the delay. Now, what is interesting is that this rock amp, although it's not really something that I think is meant to clean up very well, it actually does give you a little bit of range. And I've got the gain knob turned up fairly high, and I can get just a little bit of grit for some more dynamic soloing, and then I can switch to full volume and get that super saturated lead. And that echo just helps things carry out a little bit more. I like it. All told, this is a really great combination of effects, and as someone who lives in the hard rock territory, this is everything that I could possibly need outside of a tuner and a compressor to get everything done on a gig for me. But of course, there's also the cab sim that we need to look at. So let's take a listen to that and see what we can get out of the Rockstage as a direct recording solution. The cab sim on the Rockstage, very easy to operate and very easy to activate. It's just the on-off switch right up here labeled cabinet sim. How easy could that be? So this is what it sounds like when I have the rock amp at my favorite setting and the reverb at my favorite setting without the cab sim. Not exactly what you would expect something going through an amp to sound like. Let's go ahead and turn that bad boy on. And that sounds like it's got a bit more of the filtering that a guitar speaker would have. But it's a little darker, so we can get away with some higher tone settings on this. So let's go ahead, bump up the tone. That feels a little bit more open there. I like that. I can maybe bump up the reverb just a little bit. I'll even turn up the tone knob a little bit more. And there you have it, my friends. That was the Rockstage Sonicbar by Sonicake. Now, like I said, if you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, the Rockstage is going to be hard to beat if you're a rock player like me. If you need something quick and easy to get some song ideas down direct into the computer, this is a great option. If you're a guy that just wants to go jam with his buddies in a garage or a jam room somewhere and you don't want to bring this whole honkin' pedal board or guitar rig, the Rockstage is a good option. If you're a pro musician that is on a fly gig that maybe for some reason you just don't have the ability to bring the things that you really, really want to bring and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money because the gig doesn't pay a whole lot of money, go ahead and check out the Rockstage. It comes with a power supply. Big thumbs up on that. Some of these multi-effects things like this aren't coming with power supplies. So the fact that it's got one included, very nice indeed. Only other things that I would need to get through a gig using the Rockstage would be a tuner, which you could very well use a headstock tuner or a mini tuner pedal like I used here in the demo today, and maybe a compressor. But not everybody needs a compressor. It's a personal preference thing. All in all, I think the Rockstage is a fantastic box. It sounds great. It is easy to use. And I'm wondering how I'm going to find myself using it in the near future. But with all that said, I need to know what you guys thought of the Rockstage. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And when you see them, please do click the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and consider becoming a supporter on Patreon so I can keep doing demos for you guys. As always, it is such a pleasure that you have chosen me to spend part of your Saturday with. I hope you had yourself some fun today. And until next week, my friends, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, wishing you all out there great tone and happy stomping. Cheers.